Good morning, good afternoon, good night. My name is Demonetized simply because I don't give a fuck, and welcome back to my channel. Even though I already have a whole nother video to edit, I thought I'd just film this one because my makeup looked good today. That's literally it. My plan was to film this on Friday. Today is Sunday, but my makeup looked really good today, and now I'm here, so. Plus, I just did my hair. Doesn't it look good? I like it. It's that annoying, like, it hasn't quite set yet. So it's just kind of beep, beep all over the place. So it's a little annoying right now. But as you can see, this story is one that is near and dear to my heart because this is the story of the day I gave birth. So, little backstory about me. I am currently 23 years old, but I found out I was pregnant at 21 years old, a month and a day after my birthday. So, I turned 21 on New Year's Day, and then on February 2nd, I found out I was pregnant. I missed out on my very first St. Patrick's Day, and I was very upset about it because I was ready to drink myself into a depressed coma. I was so hyped. I was going to be in a ditch. I was going to be drunk and unaware of my problems. But my baby came, and I was not allowed, and I had to face my problems. So there was that. But yeah. But this is the day that I gave birth to her on, well, the story starts on September 29th and it ends on September 30th. So I'm just thinking about it. Like, it makes me happy to think about it. I love her so much. I'm really struggling with my hair in this video, so sorry for if the excessive touching drives you crazy. It drives me crazy sometimes too. So let's start with September 29th, 2018. It was a Sunday, and I had just finished working a very long shift at the steakhouse I was working. I was a hostess, so I wasn't really running around as much because they just had me up front. You know, when it's really busy at a restaurant and they just have that one person who's standing at the podium and they just smile and take your name down and tell you how long the wait was. That was what I was doing. I was cramping, and I thought it was Braxton Hicks contractions. I was just like, oof, just being on my feet. My feet were swollen, my calves were swollen because I had a thing for salt, which made everything swell. I was just pregnancy farts. I don't know how that guy used to stand behind me all that entire time. I know he smelled it. There's no way he couldn't have. But it was just a very like long one. I couldn't drive yet, so I called up my fiance slash baby daddy, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to go to this little Irish pub?" And the Commons that I worked at, there was a little Irish pub, and I called up my fiance. I was like, "Hey, before you come get me, do you want to like go down to this pub? I can walk there real quick, get us a table, and we can just enjoy ourselves because I couldn't take it at that time. I just wanted to sit down, relax, and be with the person who I was in love with at the time. That's what he did. He said, "Okay, baby, as long as you're happy, let's just go relax. You seem really tired, and I just wanted his company." So we did, and we had a good time, and I felt cramping. I was like, "Ooh," just like literally having to take a second and pause and hold on to the table, and then so we sit down and we're eating and we're just enjoying each other. There's live music playing in the pub and we're just enjoying ourselves. But I'm cramping really bad. And something told me that it was time. Like these weren't Braxton Hicks contractions, which for those of you who don't know, Braxton Hicks contractions are when you're pregnant, you feel cramping and it feels like actual contractions, but it's not. It's fake. It's irregular contractions versus regular contractions, which are like constant and they're timed and you can easily tell that like these are real versus Braxton Hicks, which are all over the place. I knew that these weren't the fake ones. I knew that these were real. I'm cramping and everything, and as a little cute way of like, I texted him and I was like, "I don't think these are fake," and I sent it to him, and he laughed it off. And he was like, okay. Because he thought I was joking, which was probably on me because our entire relationship, I was constantly joking about something. I was constantly like, just a jokester. Like, that's just what I was doing all the time. Backfired on me. I was like, okay, it's probably fake. And I convinced myself that it was fake. So then I get up. We get up and we go home and we go to sleep. The entire night I'm cramping. I can barely sleep and it was just bad. It's a little fuzzy. This was 2 years ago, okay? He had the day off and I had to work that night. So I was just laying in bed, but I was cramping real bad. He wakes me up from getting out of the bed and he's like, oh, but he was about to go to, he was going to this, he was going to go to Adventure Park with his younger siblings, which is where you can go when you climb and zip line and all this crazy stuff. I don't like heights, so I would be the one to be on the first step and then call the staff because I don't do this shit. And he's like, yeah, and I was like, okay, have fun, yeah. And I try to get up and I'm cramping really bad and he sees that I'm in pain and he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm extra pregnant, that's all. So then I get up, it was bad. And then I went to the bathroom. This is gonna get real gross real quick. My mucus plug came out. Again, education time. Mucus plug, when you're pregnant, Google it if you need more information. I'm not a doctor, I'm just a formerly pregnant woman. I'm just a mom, that's all. A mucus plug is a plug of mucus. It holds everything in. It doesn't necessarily mean that your water broke whenever it comes out, but a lot of times it happens at the same time. So when the mucus plug comes out, that means that like at any second your water can break and then it like goes through. So it's like a plug and then the water. So when this goes, this can still stay, but nothing's stopping this from falling anymore and breaking and saying that you're in labor. Mine happened at the same time. I thought mine had happened like a week or two prior, but I was wrong. So I went to the bathroom, I peed, and it was disgusting. It was gross. It looked like snot was coming out of the wrong hole, and by a lot. It looked like I was sick and I sneezed out of my vagina. It was disgusting. I know everyone's like, oh, but that's what it looked like. It was gross and it just kept going. I'm like, what is this? My mom is laughing. She's outside of the door laughing. I think I showed it to her and I'm like, ah! And my mom's like, what is it? I'm like, ah! Like, I show her what it is. She's like, that's your mucus plug. You're in labor. I can still see it clear as day. The details of this story may be a little fuzzy and mixed up. I can draw the mucus plug. It was so gross. By the way, a side note, the amount of bodily fluids that come out of your body when you are pregnant is disgusting. It's disgusting. It does not need, it's disgusting. It's official, we're in labor. We had been prepared. We had the car seat, the hospital bag, we had everything ready. We jump in the car. My mom drives me to the hospital. The thing about this is that my best friend, who I don't care what anyone says is my baby's actual dad, even though she's a she had gone off to join the military like a few days before that, like a week or so before I got into labor. We even had Braxton Hicks so bad I went to the hospital thinking I was going into the labor the day that she left, like the day before she was gonna leave, and it didn't happen. And then afterwards, I think it was like 3 days to a week later, boom, like she actually is coming. So we drive to the hospital, like baby daddy is trying to help and is like, let us know when you're having the contractions, because he's trying to do something to help. I'm like, I didn't care. I was in pain. I was having contractions. My mom's driving to the hospital like, yep, this is it. I can't wait to get my baby. I'm like, can you wait? I'm like, she's still mine, no. My mom's black. My mom is black, okay? That's her grandbaby, a.k.a. her baby. I swear to God, she listens to her more than me. We arrive at the hospital, and I'm like, they're like, can you walk? I'm like, yeah, I can walk to the front desk. So I get up and I walk over to the front desk. We had called them when I was on the way. I'm in labor and we're coming, so that way they can prepare. They did not prepare. We walk in, I'm like stumbling, waddling, pregnant waddle, holding, in pain. Fiance doesn't know what to do. Baby daddy's like, ugh. And he's like trying to hold me, but I'm like, don't touch me. No. And we waddle up. All right, this part is when I was at the front desk. I was like, this is my name. I'm this many weeks along. I'm popping. I'm popping right now. The baby is, she's about to pop. And they're like, okay. They they put me in the wheelchair. By the way, I am such a princess. I love being taken care of. Being in a wheelchair like pushed around was so cute. It was, I loved it. I loved it so much. I was like, this is the height of luxury. As an able-bodied person who does not get to experience that often and loves to be pampered, that was so much fun for me. And I loved it. I loved being pushed in a wheelchair through the hospital. And it honestly helped so much with the cramping because I didn't have to be on my feet. So we go to the labor and delivery like area of the hospital, and the person who had to check me in again, because they had two different checkpoints, one to when you first enter the hospital to let them know what's going on, and then they take you to the actual check-in room where they get your insurance, make sure everything's up to date, yada yada yada. That lady who was supposed to check me in was on break, and we had to wait like 10 minutes for her to come back, and we're just sitting there and like in the waiting room for that area, and I'm just cramping. To me, that 10 minutes felt like an hour, but obviously it was only like 10 minutes, but still I was like cramping. I'm just like, where is she, where is she, where is she, where is she, where is she? I'm in pain. Finally she comes and they wheel me into her little office. My mom is trying to give her like the information that she needs because I'm cramping. I'm saying cramping, I'm having contractions. I need to stop saying cramp. I was having contractions. And my mom's trying to give her the information. My mom doesn't know it all anymore because once I hit a certain age, you know, I had to start taking care of myself. So my mom doesn't know all this off the back of her hand anymore. The stuff that my mom could answer, I wasn't having a contraction, but then all of a sudden it's like, what's your social security? What's this? What's that? What are your symptoms? Like, that was whenever I couldn't talk. And I'm like, give me a second. Ow. Okay. So finally all that was done. That took about like, it took about like 10 minutes. It probably should have taken about like 5 or less, but it was just the fact that the contractions were coming at the same time and I couldn't speak to give her the information that she needed to make sure that I didn't get the bill for this, that insurance got the bill for this, because I was lucky enough that my insurance paid for 100% of having a baby. Very lucky in America. We go into this side room to make sure that I'm actually in labor. So that's whenever they check. My mom had me put on a pad, so that way all the mucus and everything that was coming out of me from my mucus plug, they could test it to make sure that I was actually in labor, because there were certain hormones that was in that discharge that was coming out that could tell you, yes, you are 100% in labor. So the nurse comes in and she tells me to go to the bathroom and check and do a swab of my pussy and make sure, you know, to get the chemicals, or like to get the swab to make sure I was actually in labor. And then we lay back down, they time it out, and then a little bit later they came in and said, yes, you are in labor and you're about to have this baby. I'm like, oh, crap, because there are multiple times when you're pregnant, whenever you have this like, oh, this is real kind of moment, and that was one of those moments of like, oh, this is real. I'm about to be a mom. I'm about to have a baby. I finally get to meet her. Like, that was the whole thing. I wanted to meet my child. Like, I grew her, but I wanted to like meet her and her meet me and all that. We were like, okay. They took me into this other room, and this was the labor and delivery room. And that's where I had my kid. I think it took 13 or 10 hours, somewhere in there. I can't quite remember the exact details. Really, I think it was more like closer to 24 because I started having the contractions the night before. To be honest, and this may make me sound like I'm a bad mom, I don't remember how much my kid weighed at birth or how long she was. I just know what she looks like in my head. I can see her clear as day. It's so funny because she doesn't look anything like how she used to. I think I was in a wheelchair and they rolled me into the room, and that's where I gave birth. It wasn't immediate though. His mom and sister came, but it was getting late, so his sister had to leave, and because she had school the next day. She was, I think, in middle school or just entered high school or something. And oh my god, as soon as they walked in, they were like, okay, you know, these are a test. They had to stick me in my hand for the IV. I think they ended up sticking me in my arm though. Yeah, because I have like moving veins kind of thing of like, you try to poke me and sometimes they'll like move out the way and be like, ooh. Also, this is the part where things kind of ramble and get a little bundled in the story because I was drugged. Okay, do not let anyone like put shit on you because you got an epidural. Like, I got the epidural, that thing was amazing. There's a video out there of me being like, epidural's fucking great. Like, I was high because it took so much of the pain away. I was gone. I was able to fall asleep. I fell asleep. I was asleep for a good amount of time. I kept going in and out of sleep, in and out of consciousness. Apparently I was really loopy. And then at one point, they give you a button that you can, for me, they gave me a button that I could hit every 10 to 15 minutes. We set an alarm because I was not trying to feel anything. I was trying to be drugged. But the thing, it kept making me throw up. Every time I hit that button, I would throw up. But I didn't care. But then I kind of started caring because without thinking, I was crying out for my mom. Like, I remember this so clearly of me throwing up and saying, "Mommy, mommy," but like crying. I'm not going to recreate it because it made my mom cry. Because she was in the room and she, you know, seeing her daughter in pain and crying for her and she can't do anything. I knew that hit. So I chilled on the button. After a while, I just still hit it. I still hit it. Don't get it twisted, but like, I chilled. One thing for me though is that I had to have my fiance in my sight. If I rolled over, he moved to his chair to the other side of the bed. He did not leave my side. I did not let him leave my side. I was like, "You're not going anywhere. You're staying here with me." All right, this is where the story gets coherent again. Because in that time, like I said, I was drugged, so things were a little loopy and all over the place. Little things were happening. I was getting stabbed. So many people, like, not like stabbed, but like stabbed with needles of like in my arms, giving me IVs and stuff and making sure I was good. There's so many people, by the way, who just came in and were just like, "Let's see how far along you are. Lift up, stick your fingers in. You're this far along." I'm like, "Okay, how much longer?" Like, honestly, the amount of people who have seen my vagina who I haven't even been like sexually involved with is kind of astronomical at this point. When you're pregnant, so many people just see it, you don't even care anymore. I really don't even care anymore. I think that's why I can have an OnlyFans now. Check out my OnlyFans link in the description. Because I've had a kid and I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. Like the freaking, there are doctors and nurses out there who have seen it before and they don't care either. Like, it's nothing. But actually, there's a whole nother reason why I have my OnlyFans. If you want to hear that story, I will only literally tell that story if someone comments it, because that one's a little deep. Then as time goes on and everything, it becomes time to push. So they roll me back onto my side and they take out the epidural because it's a needle and you don't want that in you when you're pushing in contraction. That could cause a lot of damage. So they took it out. And then I had 2 nurses who were helping me specifically that I remember. I remember one's face more than the other for reasons, because they were 2 complete opposite types of nurses. The first one, who I liked and preferred, was really calm, really sweet, and really gentle. She's like, "Okay, push. Does it hurt? Can you handle it? Nope. Okay, we can take a break." Like, that was her type. The other one's type was like, "Nope, keep pushing. We got to get this baby out." I'm like, no. I did not like her. I wanted to kick her in the face. I honestly thought I saw my foot move in my head. So I had, I think, 15 minutes of pushing for my first child. That's amazing and really, really short. The reason it was so short was because of that nurse that I didn't like, because I wanted to get her out of my face. At first we were trying to push, and then my baby actually started moving back up. Like, baby was down here, obviously, and then she started creeping back up. So they had to sit me up and wait a second for her to go back down. Because, fun fact, you can Google this. Women are actually not meant to give birth laying down. We're supposed to be sitting down. And there used to be like these old-fashioned like sitting chairs that we used to use to give birth. But I think it was King Henry VIII. He was the one that wanted to watch because he got sexual pleasure out of it. So that's why women give birth on their backs now, because one dude was horny. Anyway, back to my birthing story. Once they sat me up and she crept back down, they kind of leaned me up. So I wasn't laying completely flat on my back, but they kind of leaned me up at an angle. And it's time to push. And, you know, they say squeeze with the contractions. I pooped on the table. I don't remember this. I just know they wiped me. But yeah, I did. Don't worry about it. It's literally nothing. It was so much of nothing. I didn't even know I pooped on the table until like forever after. I mean, like a year at least afterwards. And I was talking about it and I was like, I don't know. I remember feeling them wiping my butthole. And I thought it was just that I was bleeding. I don't remember pooping. And my fiance, yeah, he was still my fiance at the time, was like, yeah, you pooped. I was like, oh. That's how little. It doesn't matter. Don't even think about it. If you're worried about pooping on the table, you're gonna poop on the table. Don't worry about it, because you're pushing. So I'm pushing, right? It's time to push, and I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and then I would stop. And at one point, I literally stopped, and I'm crying, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. One thing that made me want to kick her in the face, this is the part that really made me not like her, was that I was, at one point, I literally screamed. I was pushing, and I just screamed because I'm in pain. I just needed to let it out. And she's like, none of that here. To that nurse, fuck you for saying that. Honestly. No. Let me scream. I'm giving birth. I still don't like her for that to this day. Maybe a grudge. I don't care. I don't like her. So after that, I was like, fine. That's when I realized I really didn't like this nurse, and I wanted the other one to be in charge, but she wasn't. So I just pushed. So whenever, like, as soon as I felt a contraction, I pushed with all my might to get this baby out so I could get rid of this nurse. And I pushed, and as she's coming out, they're like, oh, wow, look at her hair. Because my baby was born with a full head of hair. It was like, wow, she's like halfway inside of me still. And the doctor who's delivering her was like, I could braid it. And everyone burst into laughter. I'm like, can we not laugh? I'm trying to get the baby out when the baby is still inside. Like, make jokes afterwards. I have something I'm doing here. But I kept pushing and I kept pushing for like 15 minutes. A couple of contractions later, and because you push on contractions, and my baby girl was born at 9:30. So she was born September 30th at 9:30 at night. So 9:30. And the most beautiful creature I've ever seen in my entire life was born. And my little baby angel, and they put her on my chest, and I didn't want her to go. And then we began the rest of our lives together, because she will never be able to get rid of me. I don't care. I'm never leaving. She's stuck with me for the rest of her life. And all I'm gonna say is that just remember, I have existed in a world where you didn't exist yet. You have never existed in a world where I haven't existed yet. AKA, you're stuck with me for the rest of eternity. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you try to push me away. I will never leave. But yeah, that is my birthing story. So the aftermath, just a real quick, from what I can remember, was a lot of healing. The epidural did cause me to go completely numb in my right leg, which is a little bothersome for me because I'm very right side dominant. For me to, get up afterwards was really hard, because I tried to move and work with my left hand, but I'm with my left side and my left, but it was very hard. I did need stitches, and something they don't tell you for afterwards, I'm kind of glancing this over. If anyone wants a full video of like birthing or like pregnancy tips and birthing tips and anything that like tips that I could give, I'll gladly do that. I'll probably do it anyway, honestly. It was so hard. Pooping afterwards was ridiculous. I needed stitches because she burst out of me like the freaking Kool-Aid man. Pooping was terrifying because I was so sore. Everything hurt down there. I would just bust open. I had to get stitched back up. I had 2nd-degree tears. They didn't tell me how many stitches I needed. Also, something they don't tell you that does happen a lot is that you get pregnancy chills. I mean, not pregnancy, after delivery chills, or whatever it's called. And the reason for that, at least from my mind, is that you just popped out a baby and all this other weight. That's immediate, at least like 10 pounds. Like an average baby is like 6 to 7 pounds. You immediately lose that, plus the placenta and everything that came out. Even still, like going out and still looking like you're pregnant as everything is still exiting your body and leaving your body, that's still a lot of weight you lost immediately. So it can cause your body to get really cold and you start shaking. My teeth were literally chattering for the first time in my life. I've never done that. I was legit shaking. So that happens. There was shaking. I got stitches. The epidural caused my right leg to go 100% numb. I needed assistance going to the bathroom for a while until I could get the feeling back, which it did come back. All of that is 100% normal. And then that maternal bond, every woman is different. And not everyone can feel a connection with their baby immediately. Sometimes you have to get to know the baby. For me, that bond was immediate. I completely understand those who don't have the bond immediately, but I did. I had it when I was pregnant with her. I literally would have nights and moments where I would cry because she wasn't in my arms, and then I finally had her, and I knew I would never let her go. That is my birthing story as coherently as I could possibly tell it because of, fuzzies and it's been a while and all that stuff. But yeah, so please like, comment, and subscribe. Links to my OnlyFans and Twitter are down below. And love thy neighbor as thyself. All right, love you guys. Bye.